Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another Noita wand guide. It's been a little while since I made one of these very specifically wand building focused guides, and I'm doing some things a little differently this time. This time we're not playing a normal run. I am going to be going and gathering some of the wands, a handful of wands from each floor, and we're just going to see what we can craft and what I would do in any given situation. And we've got a couple really handy little cheating tools to utilize. I've got Cheat Menu by Everfades here to allow me to teleport to cursor, which is just super convenient. I love it. Ooh, look at that. Really nice little chest to start. Here's the seed down on the bottom if anybody wants to follow along. And when I turn this on, you'll see that I get some red lines. And what this does is when I hit G, I get to pull the wand to me, which is fantastic. That means that I don't have to spend the entire, you know, an hour, 2 hours potentially clearing out every floor, showing you every single option. So yeah, obviously since there's only one wand, there's no real decision making here. We've got enough inventory space to just go ahead and pick up this one wand. Now, I'm going to assume that you're, like, brand new to Noita, and we're going to go over every aspect of wands, and I'm going to talk about the decision-making on which wands are good, which wands are great, which wands are kind of meh, and which wands are bad, obviously. So, first thing to note about this wand is it is a shuffle no, meaning that it reads all of the spells in order, left to right. So, that's really handy, because if you want to make a complex wand, you're going to need something that casts in a specific order. So yeah, that's really nice. The cast delay of this wand is quite low, so that's pretty nice. But cast delay generally is a less important stat than many others because there's lots of ways of fixing cast delay, which we'll definitely get to show off on this run because we lucked out. Once again, here's the seed down here for anybody wondering and looking to follow along potentially, see what they can do with this seed. And next up is recharge time. Recharge time. Hang on, I guess I should explain exactly what cast delay does. So, this wand has a 0.18 cast delay, this wand has a 0.07 cast delay. So when I shoot two spells, you can see that there's like a bit of a... I'm shooting 3 spells, obviously. But you can see that there's like a bit of a canter to the shot. If I put it on here, it should shoot significantly faster until it hits the recharge, as you can see there. So you can see this orange bar up here, that's your recharge time. Recharge time is like once your wand is done reading all the spells on the wand, it will take that moment to recharge. Think of it like a gun reload. That's sort of the purpose the recharge is, while the cast delay is more of like a machine gun's rate of fire. That said, both of them can be completely eliminated when using the correct spells. So we're going to show that off. Max mana is the blue bar, obviously. You know, you want to have more max mana than less in the overwhelming majority of cases. That said, there are a couple tricks where less max mana is useful. We might be able to show that off, we'll see. And then we've got the mana charge speed. So that's how fast your mana charges over the course of, I believe, a second. And then you've got capacity, of course, which is how many slots you've got. If a wand has enough slots and it's a no shuffle, you can pretty much fix it no matter what. So yeah, bigger is better in a lot of cases. That said, when you're in the early game, take what you can get. Sometimes an individual wand like this can shoot really fast, and it's really good because look at that. It's got low recharge time, low cast delay. The mana charge time being low is a problem. As you can see, we're still recharging even now. So I wouldn't recommend using that wand specifically, but, you know, definitely keep an eye on your bomb wand. Sometimes it can be pretty good. One thing that I would note, I generally aim for 800 gold coming off of the first floor. If you can do that, you're in really good shape. We only grabbed 155 just because we only interacted with, I think, like a treasure chest, which isn't too great. I love Chainsaw. Chainsaw is great for magical properties. We'll show that off. It reduces cast delay to 0 when it's at the end of a casting block. I'll explain what a casting block is really quick. Let's grab a double spell. So, this is a casting block. This is a casting block. This is a casting block. So, it goes 1, 2, 3. Now, if I add a double spell onto this, 1, 2, 3, that's a casting block. So, basically, that's a single click. And this is a casting block, which is another click. So if you look in the background here, this thing's really helpful for keeping an eye on things. Let me just chop these down so it's easier to look at. There we go. Good. So, 1 click is that. 2 click is that. And it's pretty useful for abusing all sorts of little shenanigans. So if we go and grab this chainsaw here, keep in mind that chainsaws are reducing recharge time by 0.17. So if we have this on here, you can see that this is going to be shooting faster than this. It's fairly noticeable. But if I were to add like both chainsaws on, here let's do this instead. You can see that that's even faster than this, and that's thanks to the recharge reduction on there, which is super handy. But if we really wanted to ramp up and try to maximize the recharge reduction on this wand, one thing we could do is grab like this triple spell here and put that down instead of the double spell. And then we will be shooting all of that. And then, with the double spell here, this is going to wrap back around to the front. So, the first cast is triple spell, grabs chainsaw, chainsaw, spitterbolt. And then double spell wraps back around to the front, because this is the second cast, right? This is the second casting block. It goes and grabs the triple scatter spell, and it grabs chainsaw, chainsaw, spitterbolt. So you can see it's shooting much, much faster than it would without, which is super, super cool. So let's see if we... So we're still limited by our recharge time, as you can see there. If we were limited by cast delay, you would be seeing a different thing. You'd see a little blue bar pop up instead. But yeah, we don't really have a ton of cast delay, and our recharge time is still a problem. So yeah, we'll work on that as we go. But if I were going to make a wand out of the tools given to us here, obviously we've got some really fancy stuff. I'll admit, this is a very, very nice seed so far. But if you like, we can do this a bunch. Like, the beauty of this is that this is going to be really, really quick and easy. This first one's going to be a little bit front-loaded for all the newbies. But, you know, the more times I do this, the easier and more obvious builds will become. For everybody, I hope. That's the goal. I just want to help people out as much as possible. I'm going to ignore this pacifist chest because there's no way we would have gotten that. Chaos die, whatever. If I had to pick between these perks, Electric Immunity is just amazing. Low Recoil is honestly not that good. I know some people like it, but I think Recoil is actually pretty strong. So I would generally ignore that. Eat Your Vegetables is for a very, very specific type of run where you have like Iron Stomach and you're all primed for, you know, a bunch of free extra damage, then maybe you can consider Eat Your Vegetables. But otherwise, it is kind of a short-term death or a long-term death sentence on pretty much any run. So yeah, definitely one to avoid. Electric Immunity is one of the very best perks in the entire game, preventing you from getting stun locked and opening up a bunch of new build options. So those are both great. The very first thing that I consider every time I enter into a Holy Mountain is how do I get out of it without destroying the Holy Mountain? And the big reason behind that is because if I go in... Hang on, let me turn on my teleport. So if I go from this area to, like, this line here, and anywhere along this line, the Holy Mountain will collapse. So we don't want that because that means we can't come back and build. And this is like a huge thing for leveraging your advantage. And if you can consistently find a way out, it's going to make your runs so much better. So that means that this spell here, Circle of Displacement, is actually a key spell for our success on this run. Because that will allow us to turn, and yeah, it's going to be really handy. All-Seeing Eye is great too. I'm going to go ahead and give myself some money. I'm not going to grab all of that. I'm just going to grab some of it. Sorry, fish. All-Seeing Eye is a fantastic spell. Super handy for all sorts of stuff. And because Chainsaw can dig, we probably don't need to utilize our bombs just yet. So we are going to cast our Circle of Displacement, which is going to get me out. I'm going to grab this wand right away. We're going to do a bunch of teleports. And the next thing that we're going to do, obviously, let's take a look at this wand. This is a pretty okay wand. So the reason why I claim that it's okay, it's got the inverse max mana and mana charge speed. which means that you can make a machine gun out of this wand, potentially. The big problem is that its recharge time is too high, and because it's a shuffle yes wand, it won't be as easy to fix as a shuffle no wand like this. So, a little bit of a situational wand overall, I would say. Not terribly helpful. We're going to pull all these wands next to us. So these are the immediate wands in our vicinity. And this wand's got fire missiles, which is pretty nice as like a secondary wand. It's also got 5 spells cast, which is interesting, and the recharge time is very, very high, along with a big spread. So this wand is very whatever, not super great. Magic missiles are great for all sorts of stuff. Essence to Power is incredibly situational, and Hexa formation is, sadly, it's never been the same since the nerf. This thing used to cost 4 mana, but now it's up to 6, and it's not quite as good. So yeah, nothing great on there. And then we've got a simple 2 capacity wand with nothing. This is pretty irredeemable in most cases. There's some versions of these when they have really low recharge and cast delay and like decent mana where they can be usable, but this is not a usable version of these. So I would honestly put the highest value on this variant of the wand, or this wand here, the little forecaster. It's not too bad. And what we're going to do to get back up into this level is I'm going to climb up into this tunnel. I'm going to use a little bit of water to get myself higher. And then we're just going to teleport straight up like that. And as you can see there, I don't know if it was super obvious to you, but you can actually control the teleports from Circle of Displacement, as well as a bunch of other different stable teleports. You can control the teleports from the Teleport Mages, you can control the teleports from Teleportatium, and you can control the teleports from even Teleportitis alongside the Circle of Displacement. So, super handy with that. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. Light is a really fantastic spell, and this wand has slightly less recharge time than this one, so that's kind of good. Pollen is a very particular spell. It can be used, but it's a little iffy, I would say. And because I've shown you the teleport method here, just to save ourselves a little bit of time, we're going to say that we went back and forth here a couple times, because both of these teleports are still set up, so we can go in and out over and over and over again. So that's super handy. So what I would want off of this thing is definitely the double scatter spell. We'll go ahead and leave it here for now. And then we are going to teleport back down. I'm going to grab this because I like the look of those fire missiles. We'd have to use another cast of our Circle of Displacement. I'd make sure that would continue to be on a wand, obviously, as I'm running back and forth here. And we've got another energy sphere, which is okay. So, if I were going to try and improve my wand, let's see what I would do. Thinking double chainsaw light. Let's see here. Maybe something like this for digging would be really good. And then what? This would be pretty nice on... We'll take Hexacast for later. Essence to Power. It's really funny. I'll show you what it does at the very least, because it's a pretty weird spell. What it does is it takes the total pool of all the HP of enemies in the general vicinity. It's a very small vicinity, by the way. And then it converts that into damage. So because the statue has a ton of health, it's actually really, really good if you have Telekinetic Kick and you can carry a statue around. And you can see that did 1,800 damage. So if you were to set up, for example, 2 statues right next to the boss in the top right, you'd be able to do like a one-hit kill combo. Of course, that would be a lot of effort to drag 2 statues up, but if you had, for example, black holes here on this first floor, you could black hole back up, use telekinesis, essence to power, walk those over across the lava lake, and one-hit kill the boss, and then you'd have a huge boost. So, you know, just like a one... That's like the only thing essence to power is good for, in my opinion. It's borderline useless otherwise. But definitely a cool spell at the very least. It's occasionally very interesting. So one thing that I would definitely want to do is set up these magic missiles, because I actually think they're really good. They're really, really strong against any enemy in the early game that you're struggling with killing. So, yeah, definitely great to have. And we're going to go ahead and use the quad cast, and I am just going to stack up a bunch of projectiles on this wand, and I think this is going to be my main wand. I didn't like the sputtering nature of the chainsaw variant of the wand, so I'm not going to bother with it. And at this point, because I've only got... I don't have any wand slots left, which is really, really annoying. You always want to go into a floor with a plan to drop your wands. All-Seeing Eye is amazing, and I don't need it yet. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this wand. And I'm also planning to get rid of this wand as well. This wand is not that good. This is a throwaway for sure. And this chainsaw wand, it's got to stay. Chainsaws are too good. This wand, in the right situation, I would give it up. Ideally, I wouldn't. And I can always use Circle of Displacement to come back and get it if I really need to. So with all that, let's go into the floor, kill a couple enemies, and then we're going to make our way over to Fungal Caverns, yoink a couple wands, and do this whole process over again. And that's basically what the rhythm of this is going to be. I'm going to explain in depth my full logic on every little bit and piece I can come up with. You can see there's a ton of wands here. We'll go ahead and grab them, and we'll see what they look like. So we found some black holes, which is great. So that's going to open up some more options as well. We're not going to use them yet, of course. They're not really that useful. And we're going to sneak into this biome. This biome is incredibly dangerous. I would recommend never being in here if you're under... if you're 44 health and under, you should not be in here at all. It's way too dangerous. I definitely want to try and like find an HP up or two. They're pretty common in here. Brisket. Don't do that. There's a 1% chance you die doing that. It's a fine line, I guess. We're going to grab all the wands, and we're going to jump in here. There we go. So you can see there's a bunch more lines here. These are shop and next floor and all that sort of thing. But let's go ahead and talk about exactly how I would have done this. So, first things first, I could use the Circle of Displacement here to get back up, or I could use black holes. Either one is a valid option. And then the big thing about Steven is I have like a secondary safety against Steven in this run. So I'd be more than happy to deal with Steven now because I've got Circle of Stillness. So what I could do is I could run over here, set up my Circle of Stillness, and just do like this. And then, because we got Upward Larpa, you won't have Upward Larpa most likely. That was a lucky chest. But if you do have Black Hole... hang on, am I going to be able to cast this? Let's see. 120, 180, 180... Might have something in here to cast. 200, 660... Okay, so let's grab this thing. Another stupid... Don't worry, if you're, like, mad at me because there's a bunch of chainsaws in this one, I didn't pick this seed. This is a random seed. We'll do this over and over again until I get a shit seed, and you'll see what happens. It won't be that different. So yeah, you can see there is this thing here, and I'm going to use the tablet, and I'm just going to squish him. You could run up and kick him if you want, but note that freeze doesn't work against Scode, so you know that only opens up so many options. So normally I would only get access to 4 wands, right? So that's why I was gearing up to drop these wands, but now I don't have to, so we can continually use pretty much every single wand that we come across if we're thorough. And yeah, that's how we're going to continue with that logic. If you don't like that logic, let me know, because this is just kind of where I'm at in my own head, and I'm trying to make this as useful to people as possible. So, this wand here, god-awful, by the way. The only reason I picked it up is because I had the max mana to cast this. But that said, it actually would be a great black hole wand. And the reason why is because I'm not casting that many black holes. I only use them when I absolutely need to. So this could be a decent black hole one, despite the terrible mana charge. Obviously, I'd want to swap this out at some point, but everything else about it is... The recharge time's okay. If I had increased mana, this wand would be fine. But other than that, it's just going to be like a secondary wand. So let's dump these wands on the ground, and we'll take a look at these. We'll do a quick assessment. This wand is very mediocre. This is something I'd expect to find off the first floor. It's pretty whatever. This wand is very bad because the recharge time is pretty much unusable, and there's no standout stat. Firebolts are pretty okay. They do really good damage in the early game. Bifurcate, obviously, pretty unhelpful. But light's decent too, so I could see myself taking this in a pinch, potentially. We've got Fireball Orbit. This will only be available to you once you slay the dragon, which should be pretty much your first or second boss kill in most cases. And very, very useful carry spell. This is like a super broken spell. We'll probably do a configuration with that and a configuration without it. And finally, we've got this wand, which is huge. Huge wand. Really nice capacity. Mana charge speed's really bad. The max mana is really bad. The recharge time is manageable. And the cast delay is also manageable. Reduced spread is super fantastic spell. I would take that for sure. And the double spell as well. Personal gravity field is really, really strong, but a little specific and very expensive. So maybe we'll end up using that in the future. We'll find out. Really nail these basic points home. What the heck? How did I miss this thing? Oh my. Oh my. This is an interesting wand, isn't it? It's got an always cast on it. Always cast wands should always be considered because always cast can completely break the game, especially when you're newer to wand building. Very, very good. We don't have any electricity to work with, so that's not really helpful. But the stats on this wand are pretty good. Like, 3 spells cast can be awkward to play around. Basically, all that means is that it casts 3 spells at a time, so you can see it does that. If I were to put this on here, you'll see that it doesn't cast the Slimeball until the next cast. And it casts that individually, which is a little gross. But, yeah, definitely an interesting wand. And Triplicate Bolt is a lot of people's favorite spell early on. I personally don't like it very much. It is a it's a space efficient spell. It is not mana efficient. It is not necessarily even damage efficient, but it is very space efficient. So if you're lacking in capacity, it can be a pretty good spell to work with. Also, it gets incredibly well augmented by reduced spread. So you can see this is a -60 spread on the subsequent cast, and this is only adding +14, which means that I could do both of these and have like a clean pellet shot, so that's really, really good. And so the best thing about Triplicate Bolt is that you're basically tripling whatever modifier that you put on it, so that can be used pretty effectively in a bunch of different ways. But the most recommended one that I have in my inventory here would be Fireball Orbit. Now, one thing to consider here is that Fireball Orbit is dangerous to the player, which is kind of a problem. But other than that, it should be pretty good. Let's go ahead and give that a... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's crazy. Okay. You can see that there are some mana problems, but not terribly consistent there. Not a super big consideration, because this wand's going to kill things instantly. Slime on this wand, by the way, is just being on there because it's a 3 spells cast. There's not really too much purpose for Slimeball in most cases. It combos very well with Matter Eater specifically, if you want to keep an eye out for that spell. Just because it's a slow-moving spell. Also, another thing to consider with Slimeball is that it increases the speed of all other spells in the casting block. So you can see that projectile speed is times 1.1. And that's like a bit of a weird characteristic. There's all sorts of little characteristics that transfer onto other spells. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. But if you stack enough slime balls, for example, with a black hole, that black hole will start to go significantly faster. So if I really wanted to use slime balls, I could do something like this. You can see the first cast is going to be All-Seeing Eye, and the subsequent cast is going to be Upward Larpa, grabbing Double Scatter Spell, grabbing Double Spell, and then Black Hole, Slime Ball, Slime Ball. And this is... I always find this a little bit harder to read than this. And these cast exactly the same. But what I always do with my my double spells, or any multicast, is I just count to the maximum. So this is starting off at 0, 1, 2. And this goes 1, 2. So that's like a really easy way for me to read this. And another thing to note is that this modifier, it doesn't matter whether it's here or whether it's here. It doesn't change anything. It could even be here, and it'll still apply to all of them. So let's take this up for a second, just to show you what I mean. So you see how this Upward Larpa is here? This black hole? If the game made sense, this black hole wouldn't be Upward Larpa'd, because, you know, it should theoretically only apply to the slime ball. But that's not how the game logic works. So if I cast this... you'll see that the black holes are getting upward larped. So, which means that this casting order is just going to be for, like, pleasancy on the eyes. That's all we're doing there. So there you go. There's another little thing to look at. This wand has a lot of recharge time. So one way to bypass that or remove that, or even work on it just a little bit, is by adding a chainsaw, obviously. We're also going to add a light to every other cast. So now this wand will go poo-poo, poo-poo. Well, I guess the cast delay is literally 0, so it just casts them all at once. But it's if you look really closely, you can see that there's like a flash there. It's kind of tricky to see, but yeah, it does like a double blast. So I guess if I take the chainsaw off and like put the spitter on, oh wait, I guess it's the here. Maybe this will make it. Yeah, so that's much more obvious, right? And the reason it's doing that is because the light's wrapping back around and grabbing everything. And then the chainsaw being here is removing the cast delay entirely from the wand, which is why it looks like it's casting one big blast. This wand, I like a lot of these spells. This is where I have to start making decision-making on which spells that I want to keep and which spells I want to get rid of. Since we've got black holes, bombs are significantly less useful to me, just because I don't need the dicking as badly. And Sparkly Bounce, I find just more harmful than good. It's mana cost, and it's not that helpful. Dormant Crystal with Trigger has like a bunch of endgame interesting things it can do, but I'm not terribly interested in it on a short run like this. And yeah, I like all of these spells, so I'm going to take all of them. Another thing that I want to keep in mind, this isn't as important currently, because you can just drop wands whenever, or drop spells whenever you want, but I'm going to start getting rid of duplicates that I don't care about. One pollen is all I'll ever need. Energy Sphere is very specific, so I probably only need one of those. And now we've got 2 open spots. I could keep Burning Trail, but yeah, I will for now, just because maybe, just maybe, it'll come in handy. And there's a couple spells here that I actually really like, so we're going to see what I can grab. Grab a bunch of junk off the ground. This is a pretty nice wand. I like this one. This, it's still very low capacity, though. That's the main problem. Alright, so I guess that's all we've got for this floor. Last thing that I want to do is consolidate my wands, figure out what we're doing, figure out what we're getting rid of. So we're going to do this, and another thing that I'm going to do, because I know I'm keeping this wand and this wand is still on the chopping block, I'm going to put some spare stuff at the end of this wand. And I am just going to grab the multicasts. There we go. So this isn't going to affect the wand in any way, because I'm never going to cast at that point. Another thing that I want to point out with this wand design is that when this black hole wears out, what's it going to do? It's just going to go and grab this black hole over here. So here, I'll show you. So we cast the All-Seeing Eye, and then we cast the black hole, and now we be certain not to cast it again. And now the next time we pull it out, we're going to cast an All-Seeing Eye, and then we're going to cast a black hole, and look at that. That's this next black hole here. So it's still working exactly as intended, which is great. So, yeah, utilizing that recharge glitch, or whatever you want to call it, exploit, or, you know, just mechanic. Personally, I feel it's just a mechanic, because that's literally just how it works. I don't really love any of these perks. Personal Plasma Beam reduces your fire rate, which is really hard to bypass. You need to... Chainsaws won't bypass the Personal Plasma Beam because it actually applies it after the chainsaw does its magic, which means that you need to have a negative cast delay in order to bypass the Personal Plasma Beam, which can be done with, like, Luminous Drill, for example, which has a negative 0.58 cast delay reduction. But a little bit specific there. Close Call is great because if enemies get close to you, they just die because you crit. Extra knockback spells is going to make it impossible for you to hit enemies. It's super, super annoying. Wouldn't recommend. I'm going to reroll here. There's Telekinesis. We could do the Essence trick if we want. Pinpointer's nice because for every spell you have in your wand, it increases your range by a fair bit. Breathless is good because it just opens up more build options. You could do some, like, shenanigans. You could walk over to the ocean and swim down and explore. I'm going to take Pinpointer. Honestly, not the greatest thing to have right before you start fighting snipers, because it can be a little bit awkward if you're a newer player and you're not super aware of what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and take that off because I did the tab thing that I said I wasn't going to do. And, yeah, let's kill a couple enemies on this floor, then we'll run around and gather up some stuff. This floor actually has a funny little modifier going on here, which is deleting the level. That's pretty amusing. And, yeah, we're gonna ignore most of the gold, and I'll just give myself, like, 1,000 gold here. You might have heard there's electricity, and there it is. One of the most important things to listen for in this entire game is electricity. You need to wait for it. We've got some serious mana problems with this wand, by the way. Which is, you know, sometimes you're going to have a wand that you need to play the game a little bit slower with. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with playing the game at a slower pace. But you have to be ready to, like, hold back your shot for a while. So this enemy, it's really resistant to explosives, which is a lot of our damage because that's Firebolt. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually do a tablet kick and kill him in one hit. Tablet is one of the most useful tools in the entire game. When you're missing damage, tablet is there for you. I would highly recommend taking a look at any of my tablet guides if you haven't seen them. I'm going to use All-Seeing Eye here, just to keep an eye out. And, here, I'll humor the shot. We'll see how many shots it takes. So that's 2 shots. That's 3 shots. That's not great. Not great against that enemy. Everybody else is getting one doinked, but it's a little bit iffy, if you ask me. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and turn on our wand vacuum, and we're going to head to the next floor now. You know what? I have one final tip. These guys, they can't shoot directly above or below them. So if you just stay directly above them, or directly beneath them, they won't be able to shoot you, which is really convenient, because you can just drop a tablet on them, you can drop some ice on their head, all sorts of really handy stuff with that. That works with the gun moms too, which are the super big versions. And, yeah, it's just super handy. So yeah, there's an Uko, one of the more dangerous enemies in this zone, I would say, for certain. Gotta be careful. Take our wands for a little walk here. We got really lucky. This is a shop. Always keep an eye out for this structure. A lot of the time, it'll have 3 barrels. But yeah, let's see what we can gather here. Note that, you know, we're going to be, like, pretty limited on money if we buy something at this shop here. But explosive projectile is pretty good. It doesn't really combo super great with anything we've got. Plasma beam thrower is also solid. Worm is another form of digging. If you didn't find black holes, this could be a good way to get through levels. Projectile weakening curse is good against specific bosses, and you already know what reduce spread does, so we won't worry about that. And let's go ahead and carry on. Should be just about done this floor. This is going pretty good. Do not let anyone pick up wands. These wands are not for enemies. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna do tablet strats first. So I'm gonna get his attention, and then I'm gonna go hang out up here. Note how I skipped over the HP, because I've got enough HP where I'm comfortable fighting Steven. And you can see just one clean tablet kick gets the kill there. So, let's see what wand we've got available for us now. We've got mana, which is a big game changer. Really, really good spell. We'll see what we can do with that. And I hear me out. Some of the people in the comments, they're going to be like, oh, you got so lucky. Maybe you're just not looking hard enough. Have you ever considered that? The reason why I'm finding all this stuff is because I'm... Like, technically, I'm not, like, surviving long enough to find everything. I'm using cheats. But what I'm trying to say is that the loot is there, but you have to find it. Okay, so this was another wand that we had on the floor here. So we've got 2 mana to work with now, which is incredible. This wand is a Shuffle Yes, and at this point, we do not care about Shuffle Yes wands in any capacity. They're just completely useless to us. This wand shape, by the way, this is a fantastic wand shape to look out for. This is one of the best... like mid-range wands in the entire game for design. It can have really fantastic stats, and it's always it's pretty consistently good. So I will probably be using this as a primary wand. We'll see. Bifurcate's not very useful. Odd Firebolt is pretty specific. Yeah, there's a couple wands here that are invisible. That's probably just like a little glitch with the mod. That's fine. Inverted Mana Wand means that we can't really do any high-cost spells. Like, for example, if I wanted to do Personal Gravity Field, it would cost pretty much the entire cost of the the wand, which is not terribly good. But let's take a look at what spells we've got over here. Just infinity chainsaws on this one, no big deal. It's kind of silly. So one of the best builds in this entire game is timer or trigger into imagination. And the faster you can make it, the better it's going to be. So I'm going to drop pollen for now. We're going to grab it in a bit. But Firebolt timer is really good. It's super, super efficient at 10 mana drain. And the damage doesn't matter. It will never matter on a trigger or timer. You can see it only doubles the mana cost from non-timer to timer, which is actually really good value. And yeah, then from here, we'll do the level 1, and then we'll level up as we go. So chainsaws, they do slice damage, and they do 13 slice damage, which if you'll keep in mind, Energy Sphere only does like 5. So these are actually doing really good damage, and for only 1 mana, which is an incredible value. So we're going to go ahead and put some chainsaws on there. And we can continue to keep the wand super cheap by using a 0 cost double spell. But I think that we're going to have the capacity to go a little bit crazier than that. So let's go ahead and use a quad spell, which is a lot more expensive. And then we're going to put some spitters on here too. So when this hits a... there's no statue here. the statue downwarped. Can happen with rendering. So when we hit a statue, keep in mind that this is doing like about double damage of what it actually is. But you can see that like it is really, really strong. Like, you know, this is doing a lot of damage, but it can only shoot every once in a while. And this is really, really consistent. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a double spell and I'm going to put it at the front of the wand. So double spell grabs Firebolt, but it doesn't have anything to continue with. So we're going to grab this chainsaw here, and now this chainsaw is going to completely remove the cast delay. And let's see how it's shooting. So it's a little bit faster. That's good. Now, what if I were to put the chainsaw at the front instead? So now it reads chainsaw as spell block 1, double spell, grab Firebolt timer, and then cast the payload. And then, because this double spell is still hunting for something to cast, and there's 2 casting blocks. This only works if there's 2 casting blocks. You can't wrap a single casting block. If it's only 1 cast, it cannot be wrapped. That is a super important thing to note. But now, it's going to wrap back around and grab this chainsaw. And now we're shooting even faster. Now, why is that? The reason is because this chainsaw is reducing its recharge time twice instead of just once. Keep in mind we're dealing with cast delay. So cast delay is set to 0, which means that this is the first frame. The first frame is the first click. It's almost impossible to get this. It's literally frame perfect click. So there you go. That was a frame perfect click. And the second cast is going to be the double spell, Firebolt, all this blah blah blah. And it wraps back around and grabs the chainsaw again. So this chainsaw is being cast twice. And that means that before this recharge time is enacted, we're getting double value, which is why we're able to shoot fast. Now, if I were going to make this wand as, like, optimum, perfect, omega good as I can, we want this wand to be able to shoot forever. So we're going to double the mana as well. Because double 2x mana... We're going to grab the chainsaw, and we're going to double up here. And then we're going to do a double here. And let's go ahead and give this a try. So now we can shoot forever. And if I put this on here, we are shooting at maximum speed. And let's see if we can make this any better. So, could I put the double in here and do this? No, I can't. So... it needs to be like this. And I think we're going to be able to optimize this wand even more. So we want a wand that can cast in a single frame and do even more damage because we've got the mana headroom to work with. Because we're only casting... like look at how little mana we're spending. And we don't need all this. So what we should do is we should put mana on the inside of our wand, because that will reduce the cast delay. Obviously, we're going to use chainsaws to reduce the cast delay as well, so we don't need to care about that. But it just as a good habit, we'll put it on the inside. And then we've got a spitter bolt at the front, grabbing the chainsaw at the back. And then we can move this all over. We can turn this into a triple spell, and we can add a new form of damage. So now we're not just doing slice damage, which means this wand's going to be better against robots, which is great. So now you can see it is shooting slower again because we're not spell wrapping anymore. So what we need to do, we can take the double spell off, and we can take the spitter off, and then we can put a light on at the back. And now we've got a 1-frame wand, because every single frame is doing damage. Let's see if we can put a spinner on instead of one of the chainsaws. We can. So now we've got that mixed damage that I wanted, and now we're going to be doing even more damage. So there you go. Now we're doing substantially more damage than we were doing before, and basically the idea is double spell, spitter timer. It's a lot. This is a lot. We're going through a lot very quickly. I recommend going through this piecemeal, really trying out the wand vacuum for yourself, and maybe build along with me. None of these perks are super interesting to me. Healthy exploration is just really nice, so we're going to go ahead and grab that. Note that your health would ideally be a little bit higher at this point, and you might even want to go and kill bosses before you come to this floor. But we didn't really get any super great boss killers. The only really good option we had was Plasma Beam Thrower. Alright, I'll bite. You throw that on here. Always make sure you do a test cast on this sort of thing. Pretty dangerous. So this is a really scary wand. You don't want to get close to this thing. So I'm going to set up in a spot where I can just jump and then dive. And we'll take a look at how it looks. And that's gorgeous. That's exactly what we need in life. That's perfect. And let's take a closer look at the mana as it happens, because we really don't want to run out of mana in this boss fight. So you can see we can cast it twice, with a little bit of delay in between the shots. That's good. That's great. I love it. We're going to go ahead and run all the way to the right on this level. I should go a little bit slower, because it's definitely Danger Town. If your inventory is empty, grabbing a broken wand is super valid. Would recommend. Obviously, this is gonna suck if you don't have, like, the ability to teleport. Every Ambrosia Flask you'll ever see will be broken. That's just part of this. But yeah, if you had to... Oh. We crashed. Give me a second here, chat. Fun fact. Listen here. Listen carefully. You can hear the orb as you get closer. You can also observe the lumps. Ow. Whoops. Wrong wand. Probably don't want to do that. But yeah, you can very easily, like, sneak in here, grab an orb. And because we've got, like, a trap spell here, I'm just going to go ahead and set it up preemptively. And we can just like, place a bunch of these. And now we're set. So we've basically made it so when that boss runs into... You don't need to pick up this orb, but I just did, because I have, like, extra HP. So once I hit this spot here, the boss is going to spawn in. And it didn't steal the right projectile. So this is a little bit scary. One thing you can do in this scenario is you can make a little diggy spot. I'm just going to go ahead and dodge everything. Obviously, I don't expect you to do this. I'm going to hopefully get him with these things. There we go. He should be gotten. There we go. And it's a really, really consistent kill tool. There's a lot of different kill tools, but I'll show off boss kills as we go. Matosade is really great. If you don't find Black Hole, this is a guaranteed way to dig, especially after you go kill, Alchemist. It's really handy. This wand is really, really tiny and a little sad, but it does have some crazy stats. If you didn't have add mana, you could easily make a machine gun wand with this. If you could somehow find a way to reduce the recharge time enough, which could be done with something like a reduce recharge spell. And this spell, or this wand, is quite bad, but it would be great if we got a No More Shuffle. And Deadly Heal is a form of healing, which is probably worth taking. Note that Orbiting Arc is really great too, but I'm not going to bother with that. And from this point, because I don't have Teleport, I don't feel comfortable going after any other bosses. It would just be too much of a waste of time. So we're going to leave and carry on. So one, oh, that's the wrong wand. Be really careful with your wands. I'm so bad for that. Let's see if we can black hole our way down here. So neither of these are good. But this is a good little spot to sometimes check out if you're missing, like, a vital tool. This teleport will take us back to this level. And we will just carry on our merry way. So. That's pretty much it. Oh, hi, Steven. We're going to pretend this didn't happen. I'm just going to carry on. Because we've already done that floor. This is the furthest we've been at this point. This is the jungle. None of these are that great. We've got to deal with another Steven. Just going to shoot him to death. We've got a powerful enough one to do that. Note that you can't penetrate his shield unless you have projectile damage that's dealing damage to his wand. I'm not going to claim that pacifist reward because I didn't earn it. Let's see, let's grab that. None of these are that helpful. Accelerating shot would be really, really good with a bouncing burst if I had some form of damage up, but I don't. So, not terribly helpful. We could go back and grab the orbiting cast, which does increase lifetime and damage by a small amount, but it wouldn't really combo terribly well. And we've got 3 good perks here. Concentrated spells increases your damage by a flat amount per spell on, or per projectile on the wand, which completely obsoletes the need for projectile modifiers of any kind. It's very, very, very broken. Tinker with wands everywhere is obviously universally beloved, and it should be, because it just makes your life convenient. Teleportitis is useful in speedruns and sometimes in PvP. It's very specific, but it does reduce the damage you take by 20% and also makes it so, you know, if you're really good at dodging, I feel like the better you are at the video game, the better teleportitis gets for you. I'm going to go ahead and take Tinker with Wands everywhere, just to continue and make our process a little bit easier. Let's grab a couple wands off of this floor, because we didn't do so yet. We've got Firecrackers, which is maybe the worst spell in the entire game. Expanding Spheres aren't great. We've got Digging Bolt! Digging Bolt is really strong, so we'll take... Digging Bolt's really strong because it's a unique damage type, being drill damage, which means that a lot of enemies that resist other attacks will have no immunity to Digging Bolt, making it super, super handy in select menagerie of situations. It's very specific, but it's quite good. It's quite good despite its specificity. I would recommend grabbing all of these if you can, because it's just a fantastic... And here's that reduced recharge I was talking about. You can see it reduces recharge time by 0.33, which would make the wand up by Pit Boss a lot more valuable. By the way, for anybody following at home, you will probably almost guaranteed get different wands from the Pit Boss, because the wands are spawned based on their position plus seed. So the seed, basically, if you don't kill the boss in the like literal same pixel as where I killed it, you will never get the same one, which means that it's borderline useless to you for that part. So we might have slightly diverging builds, but I don't think we really took anything too important anyway. Energy Orb is a great digging tool, same with Digging Bolt, in case you're lacking black holes. So, in fact, even with black holes, I would consider grabbing something at this point, just to have an alternative digging tool, because we've got Tinker with Wands everywhere, which means we only need to have... Like, we don't need to make storage anymore. Storage is no longer a concern, which is just fantastic for us. Let's see if we can get away with this. Let's go and find something bigger and better. You don't need to upgrade every single time you find a new wand. It's just excessive at points. It's good to be constantly upgrading, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's a video game. You don't want to make it a chore for yourself. You can see there's a little bit of light flashing because of the way our light wand is set up. Our digging wand. So Dragon, here we go, we're at our first stop. Dragon is one of the greatest sources of wands in this entire game. There's a lot of different ways to tackle Dragon. I would recommend just finding your own, like, strat. But personally, I do the speedrun strat. Dig in, like, around here. Just activate him. And then fire like crazy. There he goes. Easy peasy. Drops a heart, drops a spell. That unlocks all the orbit spells in the game. So, you know, if you want to use the Fireball orbit from earlier in the run, that's how you get it. This wand is It's really, really iffy. If you tried hard, you could make it work, but the 6 cast makes it very difficult. And the 1 second recharge time... Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll show exactly how this would look. Sometimes you're left with few options, and that's when you have to get ready to really flex your wand building skills. So let's see what we can do with this thing. We do have the recharge time. Let's try to use it. So once again, we have to make sure we do the trick where there's a chainsaw at the end because the cast delay isn't quite 0. This only minuses 0.02. Actually, it might be. I guess it would be 0.01, which is probably 1 frame anyway. So it's fine. We'll do it this way just because it's good habit. It's good habit to get in. Quadcast is super cheap, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We won't be able to spell wrap this wand unless we fulfill the 6 casts. So we might have to do that. We'll see. Let's play around with it. I'm not going to do any math. Because math sucks, and I'd rather just do it by feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could do... Let's grab a triple here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. And then this is grabbing the chainsaw. We've got the mana reducing the wand cost to 0. Let's get the recharge on there, because we're probably going to need it to get the recharge all the way reduced. And you can see here, we are running out of mana. So, we can just add our extra mana on. And there we go. So we don't even need to spell wrap with this thing to beat it, just because we've got so many goodies. So many good goods. But let's pretend we don't. Let's pretend we don't have so many good goods. Let's pretend we only have, like, a couple. So, in that scenario, we're going to have to build our wand very differently. Let's go ahead and forgo the Firebolt altogether. And we'll do a reduce recharge variant. And, yeah, let's go ahead and do 6 wands, or six spells exactly. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so let's see how this is casting. Bad. Now, if I put a double at the back, better. Now, can we sneak any little extra benefit out? I guess we are going to need quite a bit of recharge, regardless of what we do. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, let's see here. Just put a double on there for now. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Let's see here. It's one of those things. Sometimes I really want to get the electric charge onto this thing. Let's do that. Let's see just how weird we can get with this wand. There we go. I miscounted. That's why it wasn't working. So, this is 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then plus the 1. So that's the double spell. So it's 7. There you go. Let's go ahead and use our All-Seeing Eye. Pretty much every time there's any darkness at all, I'm going to be pretty happy to use my All-Seeing Eye. One thing I can do now, because I've got edit wands everywhere, is I can save All-Seeing Eyes that I'm not using. Wow, that guy got super deaded. It was rather painful looking. We've got another mana. If you see mana, you take mana. It's really that simple. And for anybody who's, you know, still not happy about me getting lucky or whatever, consider this like a basic wand tutorial. This is easy baby mode. This is level 1. We're gonna get weird with our wands, and we're gonna start killing more bosses and adding in, like, incorporating more techniques. And yeah, we're gonna start doing all sorts of crazy shit. So it's just a matter of this is the first one where we got lucky. That's awesome. Yeah, so I guess this mod probably has like some sort of like crash thing going on with it, but we'll figure that out later. We're ready for when it's ready for a release. Anyway, the next thing that I need to explain is how Explosive Projectile works. Explosive Projectile is a super weird spell in that it just increases the destructive radius of explosives, but when you add 2 of them together, it increases the damage by like an insane amount on quite a few different spells. I would recommend looking up the wiki for this one, because there's some very, very specific interactions going on with it. Be careful, for example, with things like Luminous Drill, because it'll actually deal damage to the player, because it doesn't have an explosive damage component. And this grants it an explosive damage component, but it's not owned by the player, which means that it'll do 320 damage to yourself. But you only need 1 instead of 2, because it's all the way the explosive damage component... Like, this does an explosive damage scaling, and if it doesn't have an explosive damage component, then it gives it the default of the 320 damage. And you're seeing here that it's doing double, because I'm hitting the statue, and it's an entity and an object, which means that it doubles the timer or trigger. Anyway, so that's a mechanic as well. And we're going to go ahead and play around that this time, and make a wand centered around abusing explosive projectile for our final wand build, I think, because I think that would be really fun and very strong. And we will be sure to use spells that don't hurt us. These ones we're going to pretend they don't exist, because they do themselves. Let's see if we can make a good wand on here. So we're going to need a little bit of space. Chainsaw up at the front, double spell at the... We have so much mana, which is awesome. Go ahead and fill up our wand with as many goodies as we can. We just want to maximize the amount of projectiles we have. This thing has 3 degrees of spread. This is adding 6 degrees, which means we're at 9 degrees. Nice. Let me see if we can fix that with a reduced spread. We will probably need this reduced recharge time, if I had to guess. And let's go ahead and add a triple spell onto here. Just gonna try and... Actually, we'll do a quad instead. Quad and triple. Okay. So remember, we've got the explosive projectiles inside the payload, which is gonna make these big boom. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we've got 1 room for light. Let's go ahead and give it a cast. Remember, we've got a 0.93 recharge time on here, and the cast delay we're going to be ignoring, thanks to the chainsaw. And, yeah, it's pretty good. Wait a second. Where did this come from? Oh my god. A wand homing wand. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. So you could use this to hunt down wands if you had like black holes, for example, and it would just shoot. You'd shoot it with like a speed up, and it would just go straight to a wand, which would be really cool. So you could basically do this wand vacuum thing I'm doing without the mod. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, this one's... It would be amazing, but it's so specific in its usage because of the wand homing. Note this mana drain, by the way, literally wouldn't even affect it, which is fantastic because always casts are free. So that's nice. But yeah, I'd take the mana off of there, obviously. Projectile area teleport is super good. And got nothing really else to mess with. Thunder Charge is really strong. Digging Blast, by the way, as opposed to Digging Bolt, is very bad. Like, it still reduces recharge, which is nice. And it's still 0 mana drain, which is great. But it doesn't do drill damage. It only affects a single faction of enemies, and I don't even know what the faction is. I think it affects like maybe 1 enemy in the whole game. If you know what enemy faction that is, comment down below, because I actually don't recall off the top of my head. But yeah, pretty funny. Definitely a solid spell, just because 0 mana cost. Oh, even if you modify it, by the way, it won't deal damage. No matter what you do, it will not deal damage to enemies. So yeah, don't use that as your sole damage dealer, because it's not going to work. So I'm going to blow up a couple enemies just to show you how the wand works, and then we're going to carry on. Obviously, I accidentally got rid of my black hole wand, so we're going to have to go back to teleporting around. Be careful of a lot of the enemies on this floor. So what I like to say about this game is that the vault is the last honest attempt to kill the player in the base game. And then this is their last-ditch attempt to just... They just want to murder you at this point. It's all one-hit KO shenanigans in here. All sorts of ridiculous stuff that'll instantly kill you. You definitely want to take your time if you're going through here. I guess we could look at ones. This intense concentrated light is not super helpful. Some of the great things about this floor, the wand quality is absurd. Truly amazing quality of spells. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Doing a fantastic job just ripping through all the enemies. These guys are in some unusual spots. So yeah, let's kill another boss. This boss gets summoned by any form of eggs. Literally any eggs at all. You just need 3 of them, and it'll summon them. And yeah, let's do a damage test of our wand. Part got instantly killed. So the funny thing about this boss is that they've got like a gooey nougat center, and that's what takes all the damage. And they're really, really resilient otherwise. So you can see we got like one really clean shot on one piece of them, and then these other ones have been really tricky to kill so far. But that's not to say this wand isn't good. Obviously, it would clear pretty much every single base game enemy in the entire game. But bosses, they require more specific wand builds. If I still had my black hole, I could very freely just use that if I wanted to instantly kill him, which would be much more favorable than this. Just kind of taking a quick gander and seeing if I've got any other options. Piercing would probably work pretty well as well. You can see we are getting some decent hits through there. There we go. So yeah, these guys have a really, really cool spell drop pool. They can drop all sorts of wacky stuff. Light Shot is fantastic, by the way. If you can fit that on a timer or trigger, if that's what you're using, you should, because it makes it so if you hit a swapper, it'll kill the swapper with your payload. And if you kill the swapper before it teleports you, then it won't it just won't teleport you. I mean, that's amazing. That's so good. If you're ever really stupid like me and going really fast and you get close to that enemy, the absolute best thing you can do is just don't shoot and back away. There's a couple enemies that you want to do that with. The frozen skulls on level 2 are another one. By the way, going right on this floor is a fantastic strategy because eventually you'll hit the lab and then you can just go right or left down here. Right, left, I guess. You know, we're going down the ledge and then we've got like a really easy escape. So it just kind of bypasses a lot of the floor. It makes things really easy. So there you go. And we've got one last dingus to kill. There we go. We're going to take exploding corpses out of these. Extra HP is great, but exploding corpses just makes us immune to one of the most important damage types in the entire game. And could open up even more silly options. Because we've collected some orbs, the last boss is going to be a little bit more dangerous than it would be otherwise. And I'm going to make things a little spicier by using lightning bounce, I think. We're going to, instead of using this wand, which is really cool and fun, we're going to use a different wand that's even cooler and funnerer. So we're going to do a piercing projectile area teleport wand. And we don't need the mana on here anymore because we're going to be just casting once. We don't need to cast multiple times, which is going to open up so much room for activities. Lightning Bounce would be fantastic in here. And we definitely want to increase the lifetime of this spell, so that way it lasts longer and procs more times. And yeah, this is one of my favorite things to do. I actually don't care about winning. I'd much rather just make fireworks and, you know, just have fun. Have fun. You don't need to... Okay, we crashed again. Give me a second. Alright, and we're back. Hopefully we didn't lose too much. Oh, hey, our wand is changed, and we're... This is going to be kind of scary. I've got the explosive. Let's see if I can get in close, and there we go. That's good. That's good. It's a good sign, I guess, that that's working. Anyways, where was I? Oh, yeah, you don't have to care about winning. Like, winning is lame. You should care about making cool fireworks. That's way cooler. Just have fun. No, it is about fun. At the end, I mean, that's video games, right? It's video games in general. But I feel like a lot of people get kind of obsessed with their first win. I see it pretty regular amount, but that's okay too. Like, it's okay to want to win. Get your first win and then just start messing around, right? That's part of the fun. Oh, fun fact. Explosive projectile. A single explosive projectile on egg is actually a great damage dealing tool when you're in a pinch. If you have hollow egg, it's even better because you're not limited to casts. So like this dude here. These guys here. There we go. So you can see that it does a crap ton of damage. And that's a trick kill, which is why there was so much money there. Please let me know what you think about this format. Would you like to see an edited down version of this? Would you like to see just like anything changed about this format? Just let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Once again, here's the seed down here. Thank you once again to Infinite Sunrise for making this mod. Hopefully it'll be available in the description down below. And yeah, bye-bye. Have a good one. Good luck with your wand craft.